Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my second part of my autumn wreath demonstration. I'm Kate from What Kate Made, and we're going to start straight away. We've got a lot to get through today. So, last time I saw you with our first part of our autumn wreath demonstration, we made. I'm just trying to bring your comments up. We made our different items, leaves, um, which we made like this, various different felt leaves and fabric leaves. We also made flowers, um, two different sorts of flowers, um, and various other little bits and pieces. Today I'm going to show you a couple of easy to make sort of 3D elements. The first one being a little tiny pumpkin, although I might make one slightly bigger than this. This is made with fabric and a little stem made from pipe cleaner. And the other thing I'm going to make is a little mushroom. Now, I haven't quite got it together yet. It's made from a cardboard egg box. And if I just sort of sit it on, you can see and hold it up to the camera. So it's made with bits of an egg box and just painted. Now, I've prepared this one earlier, but I'm going to show you how to do it. It's just because while we're on air, the paint won't dry, basically. So, and it's still not dry on mine. I'm getting it all on my fingers. So what we're going to need today? Today we're going to need some fabric for our pumpkin. I've got this. This is sort of a waxed cotton. I've had it for a long time, but it's the only orange fabric I've got. It doesn't have to be orange. Pumpkins come in all different colours these days. The template, we need a circle template. This one's a 6.5 inch template. But the little one I showed you, this one, is made from a 4.5 inch template. So if you haven't got a lot of fabric, you can make it out of this. Now, mine's a rigid cotton. They're probably best made with a t-shirt cotton if you got it, but I hadn't got t-shirt fabric in the right colour. So that's for the pumpkin, and also a little piece of pipe cleaner. You'll also need matching thread and a needle, and you will need a thicker embroidery thread as well to make the veins in your pumpkin. So that's one of the 3D. Well, that one and the little mushroom. The little mushroom's just made from an egg box. So you'll need red and white paint for that as well. I'm just using an acrylic, Crafters acrylic. Can you see that? I have loads of these. Obviously a paintbrush, some water, tissue paper to wipe your brush with. I'm also going to show you a few bits, like I've made these little ribbon. I think we made these last time. These little ribbon, they're just like little puffs, bits of ribbon put together. And I've also got some of these, which is just raffia. And again, you just wind it round and round your hand and make a bunch, and then just fasten it together with. But they make good fillers. Now, there is a couple of things I'm just going to show you that we can't make today, but that I've made in advance. I've used polymer clay. You might like Fimo, Sculpey, that kind of thing. And I've made acorns. Now, if you've got polymer clay, these are dead simple to make. It's simple. You just simply make an oval shape in this colour and a little cup shape in the dark brown. And I've wired that on to a spray with some of the oak leaves that we made last week. The other thing I've made with the Fimo is a blackberries. And again, I've used black Fimo and put purple in with it, sort of swirled in together, just made little balls. They're just bake in the oven, and then they go solid. So if you've used Fimo before, you'll understand how to do this. But I just wanted to add a little bit of sort of mist and mellow fruitfulness feeling to my finished wreath. So, all right, I'm going to turn the camera down and get straight on with pumpkin. We'll do the pumpkin first. Just going to move my paint out of the way. Right, so I'm just going to turn the camera down. Oh, no, you've come right out now. Just bear with me a second. Right, can you see? Yes. So I'm just going to glue out of the way. I'm going to need my scissors, my fabric, my little, oh, you'll need a glue gun today as well. my gel pen that I use, my disappearing gel pen that I used to draw on fabric. So everything's falling off the table now. Just, I haven't got a lot of room today. I don't know. Everything seems really crowded, and I don't know why. And normally I'm fine. I'm just going to move my wreath. It's my wreath that's causing the problem. Right. So we draw round our circle onto our fabric, and it's very simple. It's just simple stitching and simple cutting. There's nothing really complex in this. You will also need a bit of toy stuffing. I forgot to mention that. Then I'm going to cut round my circle with my big fabric scissors. Again, your cutting doesn't need to be ultra precise because we're going to gather it all in, so you won't see the edges once it's finished. Just keep turning it round. So this is going to be a larger one. As I say, if you use the bigger circle you make, the bigger pumpkin you'll get. So that's our circle. And now we take our matching thread, sewing thread, if I can find it. There it is. Mine isn't matching actually, it's a pale green, but it was what I had to hand, and it doesn't really matter because you're not going to see the stitching. Now you need to anchor because we're going to make a gather, so you need to anchor it at one end. I normally tie a knot, double-stranded, tie a knot in the end, and then you can just pull it through the loop, and that gives you a nice strong. I'm sorry you're waggling about a bit again with the table. Then you just run a gathering stitch all the way around. If your fabric has a wrong side and a right side, this one doesn't, then make sure that the wrong side is on the inside when you come to do your gathers. Is there anybody out there? There's 18 of you watching, but there's nobody actually said hello. Please say hello if you're out there. It makes me feel I'm not talking to myself. Or it's just me and the lady from the virtual village hall watching. Oh, there we go. People are starting to say hello. So you keep just all the way around with your gather stitch. Good morning, Pam. Don't pull it too tight yet because we want to stuff. And good morning, Jill. We want to stuff it before we pull it tight and fasten it. Good morning, Rose. I'm glad you're all saying hello now. So you can see we've got like a little bag now. So we'll get our toy stuffing. And oops. Another rose with 2 roses today. Right. Put the stuffing in and then pull our, drop the needle now, and then pull it really tight. Make sure that your stuffing's disappeared inside. We are going to stick the stalk in that bit. Oh, everybody's saying hello now. I've ashamed you all into stopping hiding and saying hello. We're just going to sew around these gathers at the top to just make sure they stay secure. Now oh no, that's torn it. Now that's come undone, you've got to endure me trying to rethread a needle, which I am not good at because my eyesight's terrible now. I usually have to buy needles with big eyes, but they tend to be quite thick needles as well, and that makes it difficult to get them through this fabric. So I have to sometimes I even have to resort to a magnifying glass. Excuse me. I'm never going to get that in there. I'm going to have to go for a bigger needle. As it's just the last bit of fastening this together, it doesn't really matter. How difficult it is to get the big needle through the fabric. Right, so I'm going to pull that through and anchor it off just by pulling that together. Right, so that's our pumpkin. Now, you could just leave it like that. That looks quite nice. But what we're going to do is sew through it with our thicker thread so that we get this this veining effect on it. So I've got here a thicker embroidery thread. It's plied one. It's not the floss where you can pull strands out. So it's quite a solid one. And I'm going to start. This is the bottom of our pumpkin. I'm going to start in the middle there. Make sure you have a really sharp needle to go through the toy stuffing, and I'm going to bring it up right in the middle. Now I've already tied a knot in the bottom there, but it hasn't worked. It's not a big enough knot. What I'll do is I'll do that again, but I'll leave a little tail. We need it to be fastened because we're going to pull it tight to create the veins. So let me just go back down the middle and out the bottom, and I'll tie that in a knot to hold it. And then just trim off the end. So I'm going to tie a double knot. You can already see that's made a nice little dimple in the bottom. I'm just going to trim that bit off. So what we do then is we take our thread up the outside of our pumpkin, back down the middle, trying to come out in the same place. And then we pull it tight. I just want to pull tight to create a vein. And then you go back up again to the top, back down through. And you just keep doing that all the way around. I usually do about 8 sections. On my pumpkins. And pumpkins these days tend to be quite sort of almost smooth and bland, but they were originally quite sort of knobbly and rough looking. So that's what we're aiming for with this. I think I'm going to have to do 6 veins because I'm running out of thread. I didn't put enough thread on my needle. So when you get to the bottom, you're going to go under all of these veins, all in one direction. Three thread my needle. Probably left this a little bit short. Right, let's just leave it at that because it's painful watching me try to thread things. I'm just going to thread that back under and tie it off by tying a knot, a slip knot there. Cut that. I'm just going to make that one a little bit, section a bit. You can move it around until you get it looking fair. It doesn't have to look even, but it looks. So from the front top, you've now got your sections of pumpkin. The easiest thing in the world to do the stalk. As I say, I've got this piece of green pipe cleaner. I'm going to twist it, fold it in half and twist it, and then you just glue it into the centre. So this is when we use our glue gun. Just let mine come to the. Now what you could also do, if you've still got a bit of felt around, is cut a leaf. I've still got my felt here. So I'm going to cut a couple of leaves. I don't know what pumpkin leaves are shaped like. I have a feeling they're a bit like a sycamore leaf, but I don't think we need to be too authentic. So I'm just going to cut a couple of leaves to put on it while my glue warms up. And I suppose they'd be green as well and not this colour, but it's nice and autumny. So you're going to glue your pipe cleaner into the centre, and then you can just add your leaves like that. And that's your pumpkin. I think you'll agree that's very simple and very effective. If you use the t-shirt material, like I said earlier, I'm just putting new stick in that. If you use the t-shirt material, it is a lot smoother looking. Last year I made a lot of pumpkins. I had a display of different sizes of pumpkins in my porch, and I made mine from an orange sock, and that works really well. Right, let's just try this again. Now I've got a new glue stick. I'm going to put glue, quite a substantial amount of glue in there, and then stick that, and then just the leaves on either side. Now the reason I've done a big one and a little one is that sometimes I find that on the wreath you need something a bit smaller because it can be too overwhelming. So what I've done is I've got the two sizes. I'm going to decide which one I like best when I make my wreath up. So that's one of our simple 3D elements. That's our pumpkin. The other one, as I said, was the, and I've lost it now, was the mushroom. I've put my painty tray away with all my fabric, so it's all now covered in paint. So this is the mushroom, and it's very simple. You will notice that my mushroom cap is half a mushroom cap. Because of the way egg boxes are shaped now, that's how it comes out. But because it's going to be one-sided, and you're going to look at it from the front, I thought it wasn't too important that we didn't have it 3D all the way around. Right, so for this, for cutting this, I'm going to use a craft knife, but you don't have to. I just found that with this particular kind of material and the shape of it, it was easier to do it like this than fiddling with your scissors. So with my cutting craft knife, I'm going to cut out this bit. This is going to be my stalk. And I'm just roughly cutting it, just so it comes loose from the box, and then I'll trim it with scissors later. So that is going to be the stalk bit. And this bit is going to be our mushroom bit. So I'm going to again cut that with my craft knife, just very roughly, and then I'll trim it with the scissors. It's not playing ball. Right. So what I want is, I don't want it quite as deep as that, so I'm going to cut there about that distance up the side of it, so it's nice and smooth and rounded. And as I said, because you won't see the whole mushroom, you won't see the back of the mushroom, we can get away with just I'm just going to round up that bit. You can get away with only having half a cup, if you see. Cut that from that side. Just make it nice and smooth. Now the shape is a little bit egg-shaped, so you can just, with your fingers, just push on the inside of the egg, and it will kind of smooth out the cardboard a little bit. You will still have a bit of a flat top, but can you see it's sort of moving? So we're going to paint this red, and we're going to paint this white. So I shall just very quickly put some red paint out. Again, I've managed to get it all over my work area. Let me just find some tissue to wipe it up with. Okay, and my brush. So I'm using just a normal paintbrush, and as I say, these are craft acrylics, and you just very quickly give it a good coat of red, filling in all the gaps. I'm holding it by this bit at the back, which I'm going to cut off once it's dry. It just means that I can hold it without getting paint all over my fingers and smudging the paint. So that's covered it all in red. You might want to just, because I don't know what angle yours will be at, but just paint the inside as well, just so that it's if it's seen, if you're looking up, you can see that underneath. So that's very simple. Now it's not going to dry, so I'm in time to show you. So I'm just going to very simply show you how I would do the dots. So I'm dipping the end of my brush into the white paint and just dot it on. Keep refreshing the dot every time because it takes the paint off when you dab it on there. You would be best waiting for this to dry. Now, the only downside of using the egg carton is that it isn't waterproof, and it won't be, even if you sprayed it with an enamel. So it's only for indoor decorations. If your wreath is going to go like outdoors in the weather, you could make your mushroom out of either with needle felting or with Fimo, like we made the berries and acorns that I showed you earlier. So with your, I'm just going to try and let me fetch my water a bit closer so I can clean my brush a bit more effectively. Nice pink water now, very Barbie. Dry my brush off. So the stalk I'm going to cut down. I don't want it that tall. You might want to leave it that tall. In fact, what I may just do is just square it off so that it will stand straight. More or less straight, yeah. And then you just paint that white. We're being very simple with our colours today. Don't want to make anything too complicated. This one, just a thin coating, because with the colour of the cardboard showing through, it does give a sort of like mushroomy effect. Not put enough paint out, but I'm just very roughly covering that so you can see. So we set those to one side to dry, and I'll go with my, here's one I made earlier. See, I've covered in paint now. Let me just wipe my fingers and then I don't get that on the fabric. So what we're going to do is just glue the two elements of our mushroom together. It's a nice generous dot of hot glue on the top and then push down. And that's our mushroom. So we've got our mushroom and we've got our pumpkin. We just pop them to one side. So we're now ready to assemble our wreath. And the way I'm going to do it is, let me just make some space. I have already pre-prepared one side of my wreath. I've used a paper coated wire, this brown wire here, thicker. That is what sugar crafters use when they're making sprays of flowers. It's quite nice because it's paper coated. It comes white and I've just covered it with a bit of brown Sharpie pen, and I've made a spray out of my leaves. So if you remember, if you watched me the other week, we made this spray of little leaflets, so it's like a rowan, and then we made all the other leaves and I've just wired them on. The reason I've done that is because I'm going to do two of these. So this is my wreath. Move my mushroom away, move my pumpkin away. This is my wreath. It's dried vine, so it's very eco-friendly. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that on one side. I'm going to make a similar one for this side, and then I'm going to place my bigger elements on top. There will be a bow at the top there. So I've made that one already, but I'm going to make up the second one now and show you how it's done. Just tighten the wires up on that. So I'll pop that to one side. I'll pop my wreath to one side. So I'm starting with my brown paper coated wire, and I want to put at the end smaller leaves and make them go bigger. So I've got all my leaves here that I made last week. That's my berries and my acorns, and I've got my various different fillers, and those are my leaves. One more leaf there. Okay, I've got flower in there somehow. Okay, so I'm going to start with the smaller leaves at the ends. So my bigger sycamore leaves I want to put towards the bottom. Just get them to one side. So here we go. We'll start with this one. This is quite a small one. I'm going to use to wire it on this very, very fine silver wire. It's probably a little bit too fine, this, but I had it in and I wanted to use it up for something, so I thought I'd use it for this. I would normally buy a slightly thicker gauge florist wire for this kind of job, but this will do just as well. And I'm going to start by wiring on my first. It's a little bit awkward, but you can just wrap it tightly around with your first leaf. Okay, and then we're gonna try and alternate the leaves. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to slightly bend each of the thicker wires so that they do pop out from, they're not sort of they come out a little bit. I'm sorry if it keeps going out your way, but you have to keep quite a bit of tension on your wire to keep it from them just spinning round and round. I've got another smaller leaf there, so again I'm putting a little bend in it. I'm going to add that in on that side. Okay, and then I'm going to go for this smaller sycamore leaf. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bend that one slightly upwards and put it there so that it's actually upwards like that. So we're getting a bit of, they're not all going in the same direction. And you carry on doing that with your various elements, leaves and your raffia element and what else have we got here? Our little ribbons. I'm trying to alternate the colours of the leaves as well because I don't want to have too many the same colour together, just because that's the way I like to work. Speed up a little bit now, conscious of the time. To put that one on that side so it's away from the one that's the same colour. Another sycamore. You can always, because they're not, all these leaves are on wires, you can bend them into other directions when you're ready, when you've got them all on, so that they're not, you can arrange them to your liking. Now I'm going to put a couple of these in, and to do that I need to possibly glue them on. In fact, I'm going to leave them till later. I'm going to put one of the raffia tassel-y things in instead. Just wind that tightly around. The sycamore leaf. I think I'm getting to about as long as it needs to be now. I can add other elements as I go. So I'll just get my wreath back. Now what I did with the other one is I've bent the base wire into a curve and it will curve round like that. So that just makes it a little bit easier by bending it into a curve to get it to sit nice. That looks about right for what I want. So now I'm just going to snip this extra bit of the base wire, if I can. It's proving very stubborn. There we go. Now, what I'm going to do, now that I've formed this, is I'm going to glue it on. I find that wiring it on, it can twist around quite a bit. So I'll just switch my glue back on. We've got a few of you from around the country today. Surrey, Wales, Merseyside. What's the weather like with you? Because it's pretty dull here, but it's quite warm still. It's very mild. I'll just get my other piece. and put that, it's twisting a little bit like that. So this space here I'm going to fill with my 3D elements, the odd few leaves I've got left as well. So once my glue comes to the top, I'll just snip this bit off. Actually, I'm not going to. I'm going to bend it round because it's just proving to be very stubborn today. This is why I chose a brown wire, so that it does tone in with the wreath underneath. So far, I think it's looking pretty good. Right, so my glue's come to now. So let's try and glue it. What I'm gonna do is put a great big splodge of glue. You will not see this once it's dried, but it will hold it in place, and then push my element down and a little bit more on top, just to encase the wire and hold it to the vine wreath underneath. Do the same here. Lots and lots of glue into all the gaps, and let's let that set. If it doesn't set properly, you can always go back with your silver wire. This one might prove a little bit more difficult with this particular arrangement of leaves at the top, because that's a thinner wire. So I'm going to hold that while it dries. And then again, I'm going to delicately moving it so you don't pull away the glue. Tilt before it sets. Right, I think I might go back to my silver wire. I didn't want to use the silver wire because it can be a little bit visible, but the glue is not cutting the mustard today. So I'm going to pull another length of this silver wire off and just start by anchoring it there, and then I'm going to just gently turn my wreath, glue nut wire, and go in between the leaves, passing, oops, can't get the other end, passing right over the base wire and round the wreath. It's always good to have a plan B when you're crafting, in case plan A doesn't work. And as I only had one wreath base at the moment, I could only do this once. I can only do it live on air. So I couldn't, normally I would have one, here's one I prepared earlier, but I can't do that. So then I'm just going to wrap the end of the wire around and anchor it with there. Okay, let's go round to the other side and do, although that one stuck quite well. So we've got wire on one side and glue on the other, and that's worked quite well. Any bits of wire that are spare, you can just wrap round. Can't find the end of that now. There it is. I'll just pull off another bit. It's very fine, almost like thread, this silver wire. I can't remember why I bought it initially. Probably bought it by mistake, thinking I was getting something thicker. Quite often have mystery purchases that in the end turn out to be quite useful. I'll think, oh, that's not what I ordered, and then it turns out to be quite the thing that I need. Right, there's only that bit that's just got caught. Right, so now that I've got this fastened on, I am ready to start adding my 3D elements. So again, that's going to be the top of my wreath. And I've got my, those are my berries and my acorns. I've got my flowers. It's proving a bit stubborn, that bit of wire. Let's try and cut it off. Normally my pliers are quite good, but they're really not oh, there we go, got it. Okay, so I think my acorns and oak leaves are going to go just there. I think they'll look nice there. I'm going to wire them on with the thin silver wire again. You could use jute twine if you wanted to do this bit. That's just popped into my head because I was using that this weekend for another project. And jute twine is quite natural looking, so it would go well with your the elements. Now I'm just going to rearrange that so you can actually see my acorns. So that's that one. So I'm going to put my berries at the other side. Whoops. So that we've got a little bit of contrast. Now Tracy's asking me, where did you get them? What are we talking about, Tracy? Where did I get what? The berries and the acorns. If you were, I explained earlier that I've made these from myself from Fimo polymer clay. So polymer clay is a coloured clay. You buy it in small blocks and you can bake it. So you can shape it, then you bake it in the oven. Bake it for about 25 minutes at about 120, and it's oh, the artificial leaves we made in a previous session, and I think it's probably still available on the village hall. All the leaves are made from fabric or felt, so they're not things you have to buy. As I say, the acorns and the berries are made from Fimo polymer clay, and then bake them in the oven. So there's my berries. So can you see that now? Yeah. So that's quite nice. That's quite a nice touch. Now these two flowers that are very similar. Again, I made these on the previous part of this. I like symmetry, and it's really not. It's not the best thing. I'm going to put them there. I have a friend who's an artist who tries to get me to be random all the time. I'm not good at random. I like symmetry. Put that one there. And that one there. Now I have this other felt flower. I have two of these. Again, we made these in the previous session and they've just got beads in the middle. So I'm going to put them there. Now, my pumpkin. So I'm just going to turn this round. If you can imagine it, that's not stuck, hanging. What I want to do with my pumpkin is put it. Oh, it's not going to work. Where can I put it? I might actually put it up there. I was going to put it so it's sitting like that, if you like, but it's not going to show very well. So I'm going to put it up here. I am going to put a ribbon there, so I need to leave that bit. I'm just going to bend these leaves out a bit to make a little bit of room to put my pumpkin here. Again, a generous amount of glue. Press it in. Now, I'm not entirely sure how I'm going to attach my pumpkin now. Not my pumpkin, my mushroom. There's my little mushroom. And I think I want to put it down here. So I may just stick it there or there. There, I think. And I'm going to attach it to these leaves and flowers. I'm very generous with my glue, as you'll notice. Can you see that? Yeah. Right. I think I'm there. What I need now is some suitable coloured ribbon, and I think I have my ribbons in big jars up here. I'm not sure I've got any orange. Just bear with me. No, I don't seem to have any orange there. My house is a treasure trove of junk. What about that one? That's quite pretty. We might use that. People give me stuff as well. People will be having clear outs and they'll say, okay, look what I found, you want it? And I never, ever, ever say no. So this is quite nice. And there's quite a lot of it. So I can maybe do a bow as well as a hanger. So I'll start with a bow. I'm going to cut that bit off because it's got some glue on it. So when I make a bow, I always do it like this. So I make a loop and I make a loop like that. And then I tie them in a knot. So I pull that one through that one. And it should make a nice bow. And then you can sort of like fiddle with the length of this, I don't know what they call this, these bits of the bow, the actual sort of bow bits. That's the wrong one. I want to get them the same size. I need to pull that one. That's it. So I've got the bows the same size. And then I'm going to cut. So I've got, sorry, I don't think you can see that. I've cut on diagonals. Get rid of that bit. And this is going to be my hanger. So I need to make a space. I need to move these leaves to one side and put my ribbon through there. Can you see this? I'm going to tie it. I want it quite long. Tie it just a single like that, just a knot, and then I'm gonna push, try and keep it in there. I'm going to knot the ends here, so I'm just going to cut that to make them even. I've got quite a bit of this left. I'll use that for something else. And just tie a knot. It's very simple. Just tie a knot with both ends of the ribbon so that it's, yeah, so that's your hanging bit. And this ribbon I shall just pop on there with a bit of glue if I've got glue left. There's not much left in this this glue stick. Very, very, very. I love glue. My cordless glue gun. Right, that's that bit. So it's just a case then of arranging your leaves as you want them. So you can sort of push them out a little bit, stand them up a little bit. So that one, maybe I could stand up a little bit on its wire. I think that's, and then just look at it and see if there's gaps where you might want to fill in with your little puffs of ribbon. So I'll maybe put one of those in there, just push it in with the glue. Just try to see if I've got another one. There's one there. Could maybe put one of the raffia puffs up here. No, is that gonna put it under there? I think it's done. I think I could add more, but I think that would ruin it. What do you think? Right, Tracy wants me to show how to do a bow again. So I will just pop that to one side so you can see better. Get the ribbon again. So with a bow, this is how I do it. My mum was a florist, so she taught me how to do bows. We used to do a lot of like old-fashioned bouquets in bags, so, you know, flat display, and we used to put big bows on them. So I make a loop like that, and I make another loop like that, and then I just tie a knot like that and pull it tight. Yeah. So then the reason I do it this way is because you tend to get both of your ends going downwards. Now, what you do now is just adjust the length of the loopy bits by pulling gently on the tails until you get it so it looks in proportion. So the loops are not bigger than, and then you would just cut your tails to whatever length you wanted. If you wanted to have long tails, if it was on the bottom of your wreath, you might want it dangling down. So that's the way you do. That's a bow. Is that clearer? Okay. Right. Let me just adjust you upwards so you can see me, and I'll push it back a little bit, the camera, and try and show you this. The trouble is the space in the camera is not always big enough to get a large item like this in. I have to show you in two halves. So there's my hanging bow, and that's the rest of my wreath. I'm really pleased with that. Now, this isn't going on my door. If I bring it a bit closer, you can see the 3D elements of it as well. So which way do we go? There's my mushroom. There's my pumpkin. My acorns are there, not this side. And this side, there's my berries and all my flowers and everything. Now, as I said, this isn't going on my front door because I made a wreath last year, and I have one now for every season. So my summer one's about to come down and my autumn one's about to go out. This one's going to my sister-in-law in Scotland because she's now got winter, autumn, she's got winter, spring and summer, but not autumn. So she's getting this one. And I'm sure she doesn't watch me on Facebook. She doesn't do Facebook, so she won't know it's coming. Well, she does know she's getting one, but she won't know what it looks like. So I hope you enjoyed that. These kind of things are something I really do enjoy doing. My floristry skills come back to me. Now, my next broadcast is in a couple of weeks' time, and that is Halloween Crafts for Kids. It's before the half-term holidays, so it's and before Halloween, so it's in plenty of good time to get ready for a bit of party decor. I'm sure Pam's asking where she can find where you made the leaves. I'll ask them to pop the link up to the previous session that we did 2 weeks ago so that you can see how we made the leaves and the flowers. The Fimo elements, if you didn't have Fimo, you could maybe even use plasticine, or you could use papier-mâché would be good. You could make that. So if you just sort of break down some newspaper in a tiny bit of wallpaper paste or watered down PVA, and then make it into a thick thick, almost like porridge, and then you can make shapes out of it that way, and then just paint them. I'm aware my camera's wobbling every time I move my table. Right, well, I think we better go because we're running out of time. Thank you for watching. I hope you make your own wreath. Pop some pictures on. You can always send them to me via WhatsApp or on Messenger. What Kate made, Kate's Design and Craft on Facebook. So if you just search that, and I'd love to see what you do with it. So thank you for watching, and I shall see you next time for Halloween Craft.